right, Greg, we're recording.
All right.
Finally.
Game on.
Yeah. Sorry about that, dude.
No, all good.
Well, dude, I feel like this has been a long time coming. I know we've talked a few times about trying to get something like this together. So thank you for making time to do it.
Hey, thank you for your patience and still
Yeah.
inviting me after we've been trying to get on the same page for feels like more than a year.
Yeah. No, I'm glad we can make it happen. I know you guys have had a lot going on, especially recently with another acquisition.
Yeah.
So why don't you kind of talk about that and what you guys just did?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited and was happy to jump on here to kind of talk about the new gym and everything that Hidden Gym's got going on. So yeah, we're trying to get up to 6 locations in the Dallas area, and we've been growing mainly via acquisition. The right facilities in the right parts of town, and so recently. Precision Fitness was looking to sell or make an exit, and that gym, for those of you in Dallas, originally know it as Extreme Iron Pro Gym.
Yep.
Had a really good run for 5 years. COVID kind of put them in the stumbling blocks, and then Precision came in and took over. And they did a great job, and that community is very strong and loyal, and it's the same community that Hidden Gym serves. And so when they were ready to kind of call it quits, the gym business is tough, and the owners wanted to do other things, and that's a part of town we wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And a great member base for us to come in and start to serve. So we're super excited to be, in that North Dallas area.
No, that's awesome. I think that, you guys, I was just telling you about this, but you guys have such a great reputation too in just the industry and the area and everything. And, it is crazy. And I want to talk about kind of your origins, but
Sure.
What I attribute to like my origins is my competition and my experience with like my coach whenever I competed back in 2019.
Dude, I remember you and your dad in the gym.
Yes.
Like, I think I just opened.
You did.
I don't even know if I had equipment
weekend
yet.
No, it was opening weekend. You guys were still like finishing stuff up.
Yeah.
But I had a really bad experience with kind of my coach, and just like I kind of got dieted into the dirt, and like nobody even like helped me through a carb up. My coach went on vacation during peak week, and so no one even told me like what to do. I just was clueless.
Yeah.
But that experience is what was like, you know what? I do love this sport. I do love, just the art of trying to change your body and maneuver, whether it's your nutrition or your movement in certain ways to have a specific outcome. So that's what got me into wanting to be a coach, which is what got me to start my coaching business, which is what got me to start AR. And like, that was kind of like the domino. But that weekend when we came out to our show, I remember getting an email that there was a new gym opening nearby, and we had a free pass to like finish up, last couple cardio sessions or do some posing or whatever we wanted to do at the gym. And that was Hidden Gym Allen, right? When you guys were opening up.
Yeah, dude, I remember that. I remember meeting you and your dad. And I just and I bought shirts from you guys. I still wear that shirt to this day.
I know. I saw you posting it the other day.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah. It's like a once a week rotation. But man, I don't know. I had a feeling about you from that day. It's something special about you. So it's been super cool. For me to meet you. How old were you? You were in the teen division, right?
I had just turned 20.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But you were fresh in all of this. And so it's been really fun to watch you grow. And then especially now that you're kind of in a network of a bunch of my buddies with Sean and Mike and everybody. So it's been really cool. And pleasure to be a part of it.
No, it's awesome. It feels like the bodybuilding, the fitness world kind of gets just like smaller and smaller the longer you're in it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you end up being just one connection away from literally everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody knows, especially pillars like you, like Mike, like Sean, everybody knows you guys. Yeah. So it's really cool to be able to connect with other people and just be like, oh, Greg too? Like that's awesome. So you guys started out and you have a long history in the gym space.
Yep.
Talk about your origin. Maybe let's start out in just fitness in general. And then I kind of want to work into, your time at the different gyms and then doing your own ththing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have always, as far as I can remember, wanted to be fit. I mean, even as like a little kid watching, Arnold movies and GI Joe and all that stuff. Like I
Mhm.
always wanted to be like a superhero,
Yeah.
and I started. I mean, my mom would do, workout tapes at home and I would do them,
Mhm.
so I had good, my parents set a great example for me, both like eating healthy and being active. And then, but they didn't know much about working out. My mom would like take me to the gym. She would work with a trainer,
Mhm.
and I would be in the daycare,
Mhm.
and then I was like 12, maybe 13. And, I told my dad I wanted to get a gym membership. I wanted to get stronger and for playing football. And so he lied about my age and said I was 14
Yeah.
and signed me up at the rec center.
And were
And
you always here in Dallas?
I was in Arlington is where I
Okay.
grew up. Yeah. And, neither of us knew anything about what we were doing. Like I just
Mhm.
remember we would go like maybe 4 days a week. I would go straight to, they had like a Nautilus bench press machine,
Yep.
and I knew I could do 150.
Mhm.
And so I would walk in cold, put it on 150, do it as many times as I could.
Yep.
And it was basically like chest and biceps 4 days a week. And that
Mhm.
was like, and then, even at like 13, 14 years old, I started reading Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I was a Men's Health magazine subscriber, and,
Mhm.
and that's when I really learned. And so, man, as far back as I can remember, I've just always been so excited about being fit and exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you feel like watching your mom have a trainer at such a young age and you being in the daycare and probably watching them interact and everything, do you feel like that played a role in how you look upon trainers in the industry and like seeing that as an option? Because I didn't even consider that was a thing
Yeah.
for growing up in small town Oklahoma. I never saw anything like that.
Maybe later on, but at that, like at a young age, I just remember seeing like big guys working out,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I couldn't even like fathom like seeing them how strong they were.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, they probably just regular dudes,
Mm-hmm.
at 24 Hour Fitness, or the Q Club is what it was called then.
Yeah.
But I just remember just being like, couldn't believe my eyes. Like when I would just let's walk from the daycare to the
Mm-hmm.
parking lot, I would like get a little glimpse of it and
Yeah.
just be like, whoa.
Yeah, and it probably, I mean, as a kid, it probably was like, oh, it doesn't have, like, it's not only superheroes that look
Yeah.
like that. Like, it could just be somebody that I just see.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So as you got into more and more into fitness and then learning from the Arnold's Encyclopedia and then kind of men's health and stuff, how did you transition into the body? Like, what happened whenever you got to college? And
Yeah. So I was I kind of worked my way up from a rec center, and then my dad and I were like, we were kind of scared, to be honest, which is funny in hindsight, but like it was maybe 15, 16, and we joined a Gold's Gym.
Mm.
And the Gold's Gym in Arlington at that time was like a great gym. It was a privately owned gym. Ronnie was there, from time to time because it was just down the street from Metroflex.
Yep.
Armand was there, who's still around Dallas these days. We had a bunch of competitors, and so I just got to see it firsthand. And Quincy Taylor lived in Dallas at the time. He's a pro, and I'll never forget. Like I saw him training people, and I was working at Eckerd's and saving my money,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually got I got paid. Like for me, it was like the biggest paycheck ever. I got $2,000, which at age 15 and 2003 was a ton.
Dude, yeah.
And I gave it to Quincy.
Yeah.
And he like basically started like, hey man, this is how bodybuilding works.
Mm-hmm.
And he took me to Metroflex for the first time and showed me like what a real leg day is. So yeah, that was
you throw up a couple times.
Dude, I was like, you when you work out by yourself, especially as like a young kid, like you think you're doing, you're going hard, and then when you meet like a professional bodybuilder, it opens your eyes to like where you stand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got thrashed a few times, but in the best way.
Yeah. So you said Quincy, he introduced you to the world of like bodybuilding.
Well, I was seeing guys compete at the gym, and I was like, dude, I have to do that, but I didn't know up from down, and I was like significantly younger than them. So like they would talk to me, but not like for real. But then, yeah, I hired Quincy, and and then he coached me for a couple of years, and I did my first show, not actually until I was at Oklahoma State. And because I
forgot you went to Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Crazy.
I loved, I played sports, childhood all through high school. And then I just tried intramurals and like, everyone's drinking, and it's
Mhm.
like I was like, this is not a good like outlet for me. Like this is too like laid back.
Yeah.
And so, and I had always loved training more than sports, to be
Mhm.
honest. So that's when I started competing. I would, I would, party and be a normal student in the fall, and then I would always prep in the spring. And I did a
Mhm.
show every year I was in school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When did you meet Tana?
Not until 2010. I had the gym for just about a year at
Got it.
that time. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what was the initial gym? Like, how did you go from I'm a college bodybuilding
Yeah.
competitor, which is rare in and of itself,
Yeah.
to I'm owning gyms
Well,
or running
even
gyms?
through high school, like my dad had his own business, and so I was like had an entrepreneurial example and knew that I wanted to follow in his footsteps in that way. And then I loved being at the gym, and so he basically knew several gym owners around town. And
Mhm.
even at 16, 17 years old, I would go sit with these guys at their house and talk about the business and
Yeah.
what works and what doesn't. And so I basically spent college knowing what I wanted to do. And my fraternity buddies think that they should have some equity in Hidden Gym because they would do class projects with me, and the
That's
gym would be
hilarious.
our like business plan.
Yeah, I did the same thing with mine. I used every group
Yeah,
and throughout college is like, hey, why don't we? Here's a random idea that we could workshop together, and it
yeah,
was always one of my businesses.
yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, and then I was honestly going to open a personal training studio out
Mhm.
of school because that's really all I could, fathom getting funding together for. But I was working out at Metroflex in the summers. Brian Dobson owns the original Metroflex.
Yep.
And this was at the time when it was just the one gym. And he was like, man, I'm trying to do a licensing program. Like, let me help you get a gym started. Like, you can be the first one.
Mm,
And so I was the first Metroflex outside of the original one.
got it.
So I opened Metroflex Plano. I was 22. I had a business degree, but probably, as you know, like I learned a lot of theory and like high level business stuff, but I had a lot to learn, boots on the ground type of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was my only employee for 10 months.
Mhm.
Took me 10 months, basically just me, from sales to cleaning to equipment repair to whatever,
Mhm.
until I could hire somebody. Yeah. And that was how it all started.
So I'm curious. You kind of mentioned the college thing,
Yeah.
because I always tell people I went the traditional route to go I got an entrepreneurship degree. Like I went the traditional route to go the untraditional route.
Yeah.
Which in hindsight, it's like, if I hadn't met like my wife in college and like some of the friendships that I have, like it would not have been truly worth
Sure.
it. Because I was learning more going and trying to build my businesses or doing entrepreneurial things every single day and night
Yeah.
outside of school than I was at school. What is your take on? I mean, it's all changing rapidly
Sure.
with AI, but what is your take on kind of school for
Man,
entrepreneurs?
I'm pro school, even if you're going to run your own business. Like,
Mhm.
I still think like it provided me a background of knowledge on economics, on accounting, even the marketing stuff. Like, I'll never forget, I was a minority owner of a apparel brand for a while, and
Mhm.
I learned about, day one in my marketing class, we went over 4 P's of marketing:
Mhm.
product, place, price, promotion.
Mhm.
And I basically like said that in a meeting one time, and they were like, what? Like,
Yeah,
it's like, day one
you
of
blew
marketing
everyone's
class,
minds.
like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
crazy. So I found it, I would love to get an MBA still.
Mhm.
And I would still, I mean, again, I had an academic scholarship, so like I wasn't gonna leave school with like 60 grand in debt or something.
Mhm.
So if that's someone's situation, it's a much bigger thing to weigh out.
Yeah.
But I'm pro school, and think that I built a good foundation there.
Yeah. I think the
You too,
biggest
or what do you
thing,
think?
I think for what I think learning wise, I really don't think it taught me a ton. Like there was a few professors that I really, really loved and
Hmm.
really respected. And they were the professors that were out there like running big businesses
Hmm.
that were like just donating their time
Yeah.
basically to the school. And that was really fun for me, is like talking to guys that are like the owner of Simple Modern. I don't know if you know Mike
Mm-mm.
Beckham,
Okay.
but they're a massive, massive company.
Yeah.
Like at the time, I know it's way more than this now, but at the time they were doing like 75 million a year just on Amazon.
Wow.
Like when Amazon was going to make changes, they'd fly Mike out and be like, "Hey, are you cool with this?"
Nice.
Like, and it was, yeah, big company. They're in a bunch of stores and stuff now, but that was really cool getting to like learn from him. I feel like I learned some really good stuff from him. But I think the social aspect of college was
Yeah.
really beneficial for me forcing me to get out of small town Oklahoma, and not, it was like an hour and a half from where I grew up. So it was like just far enough to where it wasn't super convenient to always go
Yeah,
home,
you're not at
but
home still.
but it's not so far to where you couldn't easily go on like a day trip if you needed
Sure.
to. So it was, for me, it was really good to be forced to just get way out of my comfort zone, be in a city,
Yeah.
you know, like be around, like be at parties or be at some of these like, you know, school oriented events,
Yeah.
go to the football games, like get out there and kind of just push my limits. That was the most beneficial thing for me. So I think the social side of the relationship side, and then a very underrated portion of school, and what I think really is the main requirement of why companies want you to do it now, is because they want you to prove that you can stick to something for 4 years and get through it.
For sure.
You know, like,
they were even telling me that when I was in school. They're like, look, man, this is basically just a test to see if you can tie your shoes and show up on time. I'm like,
yeah, that was exactly what I think was very beneficial, because it forces you to grow up. Like, it's just responsibility. So I think those are the good parts of it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with how fast AI is moving, though.
Yeah.
Like what education's even going to, because you really don't even need to know how to necessarily do things anymore, which is kind of scary to think. You kind of just need to know how to talk to the thing that can do everything.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Which is, that's just a whole other topic. But okay, so you make it through school. You meet, I forget what you said the guy's name is, the original Metroflex.
Brian Dobson.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brian Dobson. You start Metroflex Plano, which now there's Metroflexes all over the country, right?
Yeah, I don't know how many they're up to. You know, probably more than 20 though.
Yeah, I mean, there's some in California too.
Yeah.
We saw one.
And that's the reason, a big part of the reason I left the Metroflex brands, because I was the first one, and then I was having success, especially when I moved into the building that eventually became Destination.
Yeah.
You know, they would fly, or people would fly in that were interested in becoming a Metroflex gym and see what I was doing, and then stroke a check, you know, to Brian. And, you know, I'm, of course, super happy for his success, but pretty fast I was like, I'm on the wrong side of this equation. Like, my success is being leveraged for somebody else. And then at that time too, you know, there were some owners getting in trouble, and I was like, man, like, I'm paying for a reputation that is questionable at that time. So I decided to, you know, exit and do my own thing. And then that's when the Destination chapter started.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to get into too, about what you feel like is your kind of special brand of ops, or what you're doing that you feel is like different and unique and builds a community that I've seen you build it at all your gyms. But next was the Destination chapter.
Yep.
Was that not always called Destination Dallas?
Well, honestly, like, so my dad and I built that building from scratch. Like,
really?
Yeah, I was having success at Metroflex, and he was like, you know, we knew what I was paying in rent, and we were just doing the math. And he's like, man, we could own a building for the same price you're renting this little spot for. So, you know, we started on a plan for that, and I recruited tenants, you know, because we built a 15,000 square foot square. And at the time, Ultimate Sports Nutrition was like the king shit sports retailer around here. And then I recruited Gas and Better Bodies as an apparel brand, and they both wanted space. So we're like, bingo, like, we got 2 tenants, going to cover basically the note on the building. The gym's rent's going to be next to nothing.
Yeah.
And then we're having these meetings about, as the construction's going along, and we're like, well, Metroflex, Ultimate Sports Nutrition, Gas, Better Bodies doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. Like, we need a name for this place. And so it's funny, I don't know if it's still out there, but originally, the original Facebook location, it's Destination : Metroflex Plano, Ultimate Sports Nutrition, Gas, and Better Bodies. Yeah. And so that was like our one word to describe all of it. And then we eventually, like, then the Metroflex brand dropped, and then I think maybe 2 years in, Ultimate Sports ended up moving out. We converted that into kind of a functional training space. And so really we just kind of, at that point, just used the Destination name, you know. But the Destination with all the parts of it, you know, we even had signage with like 9 logos under it. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, that was kind of how that evolves. Yeah.
So do you guys still own that building?
No, I sold it, which is why Destination moved. So I exited. I did 5 years. I had partners at that time and wanted to exit. And so I left. And then my dad and I sold the building because I didn't know if I was going to stay in the business or not. I had a pretty bad taste in my mouth. And
Yeah.
so I just took like a year off to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. We sold the building, did well on that because I didn't do well on the exit. So honestly, the real estate is the only reason I was able to kind of keep the party going. And that was 100% of what funded Hidden Gem coming to life in 2019.
In Allen.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that gets us up to speed to Hidden Gem.
Yeah.
And then since then, just to kind of paint the picture all the way up to right now, you guys did Hidden Gem Allen. You guys did, I can't remember if Pegasus Park was next or the Richardson location.
Pegasus Park came in 2022.
And that's more of a boutique personal training.
I didn't even know, man, that was like, they got my name and were like, hey, look, we're a big corporate campus. We want to build a gym here so that our tenants have a place to work out. We don't know how to build a gym and we don't want to run it.
Yeah.
Are you interested? And to be honest, I was like, running a small corporate gym, like not really.
Yeah, because it's not all the way into like your brand.
No, yeah. But I got into the project, and really what hooked me was they have dedicated space and like premium office space in Dallas.
It's nice. It's really nice.
So nice. They had dedicated space for nonprofits, and I was and still am really involved in the philanthropy world.
Yeah.
And so I knew a bunch of the nonprofits that were going to be there. And I was like, oh, sick. Like I would love to, be able to collaborate with these people with the work that they're doing. And then what really was the icing on the cake was we had some meetings about naming it. And I was able to get naming rights as part of the deal. So we did a co-branded gym, Hidden Gym at Pegasus Park.
Yep.
And so we don't own that gym. I have a management contract and naming rights for it. So we got to put our name on it. And then, we get, we're contracted to run that gym, hire the group instructors, run the desk. I set up all the, equipment and services and all that thing. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Pegasus Park. And then you guys, I can't remember the name because I worked out at the gym for a while.
Monster.
We were living in Monster Fitness.
Yeah.
Whenever we were living in our old apartment before we moved way out to freaking East Dallas, my wife and I were working out there for a while.
Yeah.
And you guys bought Monster, and that was a pretty big project for you guys as well.
Yeah. I wanted to be in Richardson. So I was like, Allen was like overflowing. We were way above the numbers that we needed to be at that gym and had always intended to expand. We got a little taste of it with Pegasus Park. And then, so I was looking basically in a 12-mile circle from Allen. So Richardson was kind of on the map. North of McKinney was on the map. West of Allen, West Plano was on the map. And so I'm viewing spaces in Richardson, and I'm looking at a building that's right behind Monster. Because to my knowledge, Monster was a fighting gym.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about it. I knew Guy Mesger was there. I didn't know Guy. I just knew of him. And so I'm looking at this building, and I didn't want to be like a dick and just open a gym right behind another gym without even though to me it seemed like, hey, we're totally different concepts. This is no big deal. I was just like, I don't want to make an enemy out of this. He's like a legend in Dallas.
Yeah.
He could definitely kick my ass if things went wrong.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me go just say, hey. So we sit down, and he's like, look, we're running a gym here. So like, I mean, I obviously can't tell you what to do, but like we would appreciate it if you didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, no promises, but I hear you and I want to respect that. So I'll try to, I'll keep that in mind.
Around it, yeah.
And then probably 6 months later, they reached out and were like, would you just be interested in taking this gym over? To which I definitely was. So that's kind of how that deal came together.
Yeah. And then so the suite that you were looking at in that building, because I can't remember during the construction process. I know you guys redid a bunch of things in there, but did you guys? Is that what that back part of it is? Was the suite you guys were going to?
No, we were going to be in a separate freestanding building behind the gym. It's a brewery now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we
by the Enterprise.
Behind it, it's called. They just changed names. Oak Island Brewery.
Okay.
It's kind of in that Lockwood district where all those restaurants are.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm glad that didn't work out because we love where we're at now.
Yeah. No, it's great. And so then you guys, like, whenever you're kind of looking at some of these things, like obviously you've done it or you're doing it right now with Precision. Whenever you're looking at, coming over and acquiring an already functioning gym, what are the things that you're thinking about? Because I see you guys talk a lot about honoring the current members, wanting
Mm-hmm.
to kind of do right by the current member base. What are the things that are in your head as a gym owner, knowing what you know about the industry and the space, whenever you look at an acquisition?
Man, it's well, we want it to fit our plan. So is it in the right spot? Can we make this into, a hidden gem that fits our concept and brand? But like with that one, it's like you can just tell when you walk in and you meet the members, like these are already like our members.
Your people, yeah.
This is the type of people I serve every day and have served every day for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know what they like. And usually the operations are run poorly, just basically just low competence. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know the business. And so they're usually people that love to work out, but don't necessarily know the ins and outs of the gym business. And
Mm-hmm.
so I can just tell there's so much low hanging fruit when I walk
Yeah.
into a gym that needs to be turned around. It's like, I could, spend the next year without doing nothing new in here. Even if I didn't paint it, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel pretty confident I could make it work just with operational improvements.
Yeah.
And so then when you add on branding and getting the equipment right and making sure like, just doing everything that it takes to make the place good, then, usually the members are far happier and really create a space that's fun for people to be at.
Hmm. So do you feel like most of the IP that you're bringing to the table is ops related?
It's definitely branding too, and like it's no it. We definitely have an advantage. Like if somebody that it doesn't own didn't own gyms in Dallas for 15 years bought Precision,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna have a big uphill battle, right? Like
Yeah.
they need to be known. They're gonna have to overcome that obscurity that all businesses face.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, we have a 15-year database and reputation where it's
Yeah.
like we just tell all those people, hey, we just bought this, and now it's just started to steamroll because they know the members are so excited because they've seen what we've done to these other
Yeah, they've been through from the
locations, and
beginning.
they're like, here, it's our turn,
Mm-hmm.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So what are the types of steps to transition into some sort of an acquisition to where you make sure that you are doing right by those current members? Are you trying to plan? I know in Richardson, you guys did a bunch of community events. Like, what are you doing to wrap them up into not leaving whenever they feel like it might be a messy process, even though I feel like you guys do a really good job?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, first off, you just have to be ready to listen,
Mm-hmm.
and like one story I can tell you with Richardson. So we move in, we're starting to put the equipment in. I wanted to be able to service all the powerlifting base because that wasn't anything that they had. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I love powerlifting members because they have very unique equipment needs. They aren't really welcomed in other places.
Yeah.
And so I know if I can get calibrated plates, the right bars, deadlift platforms, like they're going to pass 10 gyms to come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, we're doing powerlifting. I put in monoliths, competition bench, all that stuff. And that's like the nuances of powerlifting. Like that's a powerlifting that I've been used to. That's kind of fading away, geared powerlifting.
Yeah.
So pretty fast, I meet some guys and they're like, are you going to get combo racks? Are you going to get this? And I just start calling them and I'm like, what do you guys want? Like
Mm-hmm.
getting their advice. And they have tons of, you just listen to them and you can't do everything. Like I'm not made of money, but I just start listening to what they want. And pretty fast, I realized like, okay, I missed the mark on the powerlifting room. Like get this monolift out of here. We need 3 combo racks and we need these type of bars. And and that's, and they are like, no gym I've ever been to, like went and did what I asked them
No,
to.
that's huge. Yeah.
So it's just, you just got to get in there and listen and hear what they want within reason. And that base has really grown. And now we're like, we're doing USAPL meets, all kind of through that, like just get involved in the community and listen to what they want and what they're after.
Mm-hmm. I'm so interested in because you hear a lot of people talk about it in just the industry, and especially coming from like the personal training side of things. You hear a lot of people whose goals are to eventually start something in person, right?
Yeah.
Because the personal training side, you're very low kind of overhead, very high profit, and I feel like a lot of how people look at it is like I can profit for long enough on kind of like the service side of the business and then stack back enough cash to build some kind of cool oasis for me. And a lot of the influencers we're seeing them do that now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Christian Guzman with Alpha Land, and you know, the Absolute Recomps are popping up everywhere. Although that's not really influencer driven, but Bradley Martin and Zoo Culture and like a
Hmm.
bunch of these types of things. What I'm so curious about just how the ins and outs of the gym business, because I've never even seen like under the hood of what that actually looks like. Is what are some of the things that I mean, you don't have to share obviously any type of IP, but
Sure.
what does it even look like under the hood? You know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like for us, it's our main our main source of business is membership.
Yep.
So we're trying to drive membership sales. Personal training is a close second, especially in our model. We're trying to be, a heavy personal training gym so that we
Mm-hmm.
can keep the like if you are totally membership focused, you got to do a lot of volume. Is we're not charging $300 a month,
No.
right? So,
And what is so like Alan? How many square
mhm,
feet?
17,000.
17,000 square feet. How many members can you fit? Like, what are you saying? You said it was overflowing. Like, what is that kind of number? You're like, we shouldn't be.
Once we passed like 1,200, it was like, all right, this is like this at night. It's hella busy,
Yeah.
and the trainers have trouble training during prime time.
1,200. That
Yeah,
seems like a lot, but I guess it's really not because
you spread it out over 18 hours a day.
yeah.
A good portion of those are going to come in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
But we were doing 350 workouts a day, and you could feel that. Now some of those were kind of contained into classes, and
Mm-hmm.
that helps. But still, like once it gets to the point where like trainers can't get in, or like I'm having to tell them like, hey, no group training after 5, and like that type of
Yeah.
thing. That's when you're starting to like, okay, maybe it's time we spread this out over
Mm-hmm.
2 gyms.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I cut you off. You
No,
said
you're good.
memberships, and then you said personal training, like one-on-one.
Yeah, so we need bodies through the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we have all kinds of, dipping into your world, we have all kinds of lead funnels out there that are, doing passes or 7-day passes
Yep.
or free consults or whatever. We
I've gotten
need,
your abs for like the arm stuff before.
yeah, yeah. We need X amount of people through the door, and then I need X amount of closing percentage out of my staff, and
Mm-hmm.
that's going to hit our monthly membership number. And you do that, quarter to quarter, year to
Mm-hmm.
year, and then that's how you build it. And there's obviously a lot of nuances in there. For every member we sign up, we try to get 3 of their friends on a 7-day pass and drive. We have referral member goals versus kind of new lead member goals, and
Mm-hmm.
and all that, and we track all that data and have meetings about it. And that's what I do day in and day out, is like
Just looking at KPIs.
watch those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And just like anything, if you've got a whatever your goal is, whether that's annually or monthly, break that down to by the week, by the day, and just know shift to shift if we're on track or not, and you just guide the business.
Wow. So what obviously in a gym business, your brick and mortar, there's a lot more overhead involved than something like what we do with software, or something like what a lot of our trainers, which is be mostly trainers that kind of watch this
Sure.
podcast.
Sure.
Obviously a lot of overhead. How are you with kind of like your operating budget, so to speak? How are you just breaking up on the back end? Okay, this percentage of maybe membership fees, or just over maybe top line revenue
Hmm.
is going to go to like new equipment and maintaining old equipment. This percentage is going to go to maybe community events, because I know you guys do a lot of those. And like, do you have those things that you're kind of just pushing things into the money into buckets as it comes in?
Yeah, 100%. And we've tweaked those over the years, but just in general, we try to make sure our rent factor is less than 20%. So whatever we're paying in monthly rent, we want to make sure that's less than 20% of our monthly revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard because, rent's high,
Yeah.
and it's only been going up.
Mm-hmm.
This precision lease is the biggest lease I've signed in my career by a long shot.
And you guys expanded it.
Yeah.
By 5,000 square feet.
4,100
Yeah.
feet. Yeah. So we'll be up to 15.5. So, you got to make sure the rent factor's in line. I tell people it's a lot like, the equivalent of being house poor.
Yeah.
50% of your revenue is paying the rent. Like, you're going to be strapped to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Payroll's your next big one. We try to keep that below 36%.
Yeah.
Marketing on a new gym, we might be as high as 10% with the goal of getting it down to below 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make a splash. With the gym, luckily it's subscription based, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you build the member base, hopefully you're paying the bills and paying your staff, and then you can start to draw back on marketing. You don't need to, continue that push. And that's been the fun part of scaling in the same market, is one marketing dollar helps all the gyms.
Yes.
And so you can either just have a massive marketing budget, or, keep the marketing budget a little more. While it's cheap per gym, your impact in Dallas is very big.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been the fun part, scaling up.
No, I mean, it makes it a ton of sense. And I guess I knew that memberships or subscriptions, obviously everyone knows that, but I never really thought of it as super similar to what we do. Like our entire business model is all recurring revenue.
Yeah.
It's all we ever focus on building.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to, like, in my brain, I'm trying to reconcile like the brick and mortar side. I guess it's not all that different, because we do have the same thing where, like, whatever comes in, we have certain allocations to, like, this much is going to go back into ads, this much goes to payroll, this much goes to, plaques and redoing the office so that we can make it look good for events and stuff, or investing in events. And so that helps me kind of understand, okay, what are you looking at? The thing I don't think that we have dialed in, that you probably have a lot more dialed in than us, based on just hearing you talk, is like the KPIs for your team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anyone else is going to think this is super interesting, but I think it's super interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask the question.
Yeah, let's dive in.
How do you, is every member on your team responsible for like one number? Because that's what I've always heard you should do, but I've always really struggled in our business model to assign that one number to whether it's multiple people doing the same job, or different department heads and stuff. Is that what you're doing?
So I do Loom videos twice a month to my managers. We do quarterly goals, and they're responsible. If it's the head trainer at Richardson, they know this is their revenue goal, which equates to, I need to sign up this many clients and I can only lose this many clients. And, that's, for him or her, that's their responsibility. And then on the membership side, if, have a regional manager and then location managers. And so they know, look, I need to do this over this 3-month period, which equates to this many memberships. We can't go above 3.5% attrition. And if we lose more, the sales goal goes up. If we're holding more, then, it takes some pressure off of sales. And, so there's a lot of factors under those, KPIs, but that's basically how we run it, is basically 12 weeks at a time, broken into monthly goals. Yeah.
Makes sense. So I also see, and I know we're kind of coming up on your time.
Yeah, maybe another 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. I see you reward your team a lot whenever you do hit the goals. And I also think that's something that we kind of drop the ball on, is almost like, well, it's expected. Like, we should be hitting our goals. We should be crushed. Like, how do you structure that? Like, what triggers those rewards, and what types of things are you, like, how often are you trying to do things like that?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time celebrating when things are going well. And, but yeah, to break it down though, like, for the membership sales team, if we hit our goal, we go eat together. If we always have a stretch goal. If we hit that stretch goal, we eat and do some type of activity.
That's awesome.
If both locations, or now all 3 locations, do that, we'll attempt to do that together. Sometimes scheduling, we got to do them separate or whatever. Same thing with the trainers. If they hit their new client goal, we're going to go eat. If they hit their new client stretch goal, they usually like some form of firearms or projectiles, or like, bows and arrows, or shooting shotguns or whatever, like the different groups, like different stuff. Yeah. But, so we do that basically on a monthly thing. And you can really see, especially now that I can observe multiple teams, like they hit the goal. We go do something that's fun together, to the equivalent of a high five. And then they usually will hit the next goal, and it starts to really build momentum. And in the same way, we noticed, you miss the goal, they don't spend time together, they're probably less likely to hit the next goal, so they're spending less time together. So that's the dynamic we're kind of facing there. And if we don't spend time together, we'll usually do some level of social outing. And a lot of these, fitness people, and probably people watching this, it's, a lot of young folks. They've never necessarily had been included in a goal setting activity,
Yeah.
or it most of your first jobs, you're never going out to dinners. Like,
Hmm.
that's usually not a part of like someone's first job experience.
Yeah.
So it builds really strong bonds between the teams, and it's really neat to see.
Yeah, that's super smart. We
Yeah.
we struggle with, as we were talking about, kind of, it's Mike, Felicity, and I in this space.
Yeah.
So it's like the three of us, um, and we definitely need to spend more time like trying to kind of celebrate those wins. But 75% of our team, 80,
Yeah.
actually probably like 85% of our team is all remote.
Yeah.
So like we have a hard time. Like the few times that we tried to do like dinners or stuff, it's like, okay, we'll send you whatever to go to dinner by yourself. Like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it makes it a little bit, but we're trying to look at, for the rest of this year, and just trying to plan moving forward, whether that is like getting together at HQ and like
Mm.
bringing people out here to come hang out
Yeah.
for a few days or a weekend, or like all meeting up at a certain location if goals are crushed,
Yeah.
and just going on like a trip. We're trying to look at maybe things like that, which I think would be our equivalent, but obviously you can't do that on a monthly basis.
Sure.
You'd be, so that gives me some good
Yeah,
ideas though.
and it kind of comes down to like, I think kind of when I was starting that, because I haven't always done that, but strong teams, they spend a lot of time together. It's like you get in what you get out what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
So like I asked them, like, do you want to be on a good team?
Mm-hmm.
And they all say yes. But then also when we plan a group outing, half of them have lame excuses,
Yeah.
that first couple times. And I'm like, look, do you want to be on a good team? Like, that means you have to put the team first. Like, who wants to be on a team that when we win, like, no one high fives
No
you?
one wants to
Like,
celebrate.
that's like, who you don't, if they don't run to the end zone and like go crazy, like, that's not like,
Yeah.
that's not a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then even when things are hard, that honestly is some of the best team building, because it's like shared adversity is really what brings people together.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can face something hard and then come out on the other side, like, those people have a really strong bond.
Yeah. No, we've seen that too. We experienced kind of at the beginning of I guess like early spring, we experienced, which it's, first world problem. People will say like, oh, you grew fast and struggled because of it. Like it was, during the spring, we had like a month where we're typically bringing on a coach every single day, at least, like
Yeah.
average for the month.
Yep.
And we go somewhere between 30 and 35 new coaches per month. And like March, we had like 70. Just
Yeah.
we launched a new collaboration, and then all of a sudden, all of our systems, which were very comfortable at 30 coaches a month, all of a sudden it was like,
Stress
whoa,
test,
everything flexed, things broke, things, and so at March and April, as like a kind of downwind of that, or downstream of that, was super tough for us, because everyone was working super long hours. We were
Yeah.
servicing our clients and everything, but on top of that, while we had this massive influx in people, we were talking about what AR is built on and everything. Well, Twilio, where we get our phone numbers, they imposed new
I
regulations.
remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that. That messed us up too.
They imposed new regulations,
Mhm.
which caused us, like, we're in the middle of onboarding the biggest amount of people we've ever onboarded, and
And their
phone
texts
numbers
don't
keep
work.
getting
Yeah.
rejected. And we're like, what is happening? We're good at this. We've gotten hundreds of these things approved.
Yeah.
And we find out like 2 weeks after the regulation change, because no one told anybody,
Yeah.
like no one sent out any type of public, announcement.
Mhm.
We find out 2 weeks later that, oh, it's all changed. And now every single business that you're signing on, which most of these are solopreneurs that
Mhm.
maybe even don't have an LLC, or,
Yeah.
or don't have a lot of their stuff set up yet.
Sure.
Your legal business name, your LLC, has to match your domain name, which has to match your business email address, which none of our people have business email addresses. All that has to match in order to even submit a phone number now.
Oof.
So we had been like 2 weeks behind on getting these phone numbers approved, and we just thought they were being stingy.
Yeah.
But then we had to go back to all these clients
Tell them new
and
rules.
tell them,
Yeah.
hey, our bad, we're not our fault, but still our problem. That's kind of been our mantra. Like, we're going to cover this for you. We'll credit you. We credit out like, I think 40 grand and just credits to people.
Yeah.
Like, just didn't collect it, credited it out, gave
Sure.
it to them so that they could all buy their email addresses, so that they could all, we would float the extra time that they had spent on the platform where they weren't up and running. And it was, for us, that was to kind of wrap that whole thing in a bow. That was our adversity, where we were spending really long hours together. We were all struggling. We were dealing with frustrated clients, and rightfully so. We were dishing out a ton of money in credits to everybody, but it kind of forced everybody closer together, because it's like if you don't have elite communication during a time like that, things get way worse way faster.
Yeah.
And so I definitely can appreciate that portion of what you're talking about there. Is, yeah, the good times are fun and everything, but they talk about like good times breed weak men, and bad times bring the strong men, and all that type. I forget what the actual saying is, but there is some, you do kind of need some of the tough times sometimes.
You have to. Yeah. I mean, we've brought on new people when we're like doubling our goals and stuff. We're like hitting twice over, and they're like, this is so fun, and then they have like a rough month and they're like want to quit. And you're like, okay, like you're a fair weather friend. Like, here's the door. Like, we've all been through some shit together.
Yes.
And that's why our bond is tight. So if you're just here because you think we're gonna go shoot bows and arrows once a week, then like this isn't the spot for you.
Totally. Yeah. You have to have some of that.
Yeah. And they don't appreciate the good times if they haven't been through some hard times. So it's like, we've had especially like when Richardson hits, really hit stride, we probably hit stretch goal, I don't know, 16 months in a row or something, to the point where we're like tired of celebrating.
Yeah.
But I'm just like telling, like, look guys, this, like, do not take this for granted, because this isn't like, we're new and we're riding that wave. So enjoy it. Like, still soak in those high fives. And, they don't have that perspective, so that, they don't necessarily see it like I do, but you got to tell them, like, this isn't, we got to still enjoy these, because it's not promised forever.
No, definitely not. What I haven't been doing a good job recently, but a question that I like to ask to kind of end every pod is, I always ask, what are you, the name of the podcast is the BAMcast, by any means necessary is what it stands for. What are you, Greg, what are you going to accomplish by any means necessary? Like, what's your mission?
Yeah, I mean, growing Hidden Gem to its full potential, which I don't even know what that is, to be honest. For me, I've got the goal of 6 locations in Dallas, and then from there exploring, several options forward. But, it's I have a board of advisors. I had mixed votes on if I should acquire Precision or not. I went for it. So, I'm going to do it by any means necessary. It's going to be successful. Even if I end up at the desk, 14 hours a day, we're going to get
You've
there.
Done it before?
Yeah. I'd have no problem taking a step back to take a step forward. So, I will do what it takes to make it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have no doubts you will. It's been awesome to watch you and, just see how you have continued to grow, and always remembering that weekend coming up and working out there. And then you even just like how much it meant to me, you taking the time to talk to me about, Eubora back then, or to talk to me about personal training, or, as I was trying to just get started as a trainer, talking to me at that weekend at my booth at the venue for the Kuklo Classic. Like it was that.
How old are you now?
A ton to me. 27.
Okay. And so that was 7 years ago. So you're almost at the point where it's like, so I hope, like, to keep this thing going, right? Like in the now, and as the years start to stack up for you, right? Like keep an eye out for the next Baker, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's what I do. It's like, I was the 21-year-old in the industry, and a lot of people wouldn't give me the time of day, dude. And I knew the fire inside of me, and I knew what I was willing to do. And when you recognize that, it's like, okay, I've been in that kid's shoes before, and I want to be a resource and a friend to him. So it'll be your turn here soon.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I hope so. And so if anybody's listening to this that wants that, what I do, and I think it's part of what you did with me and for me, is, you sent me to the Unleash podcast, the Hidden Gem podcast. And that gave me a chance to like go talk, you know, and be in front of the camera a little bit and stuff. And I think a big part of what I've learned as people come to me is, since I have that kind of entrepreneurial kind of, I guess, tendency, someone will come to me with an idea and I get super excited about it, and then I'm like the one that's trying to push them and push their idea and like following up with them. And so what I've learned is, like, whenever someone comes to me now, I try to like keep myself centered. I give them some advice, but I also give them some homework. Like, when you go do these things, come back to me. And so that's, I think, what you did is like, hey, here's what I would probably do if I was getting started. Here's what I can offer you. Go get on this podcast. give you, maybe some people will hear it and stuff, and go get your start that way. And
Yeah.
so that was big for me because I went
Cool.
and took action.
Cool.
You know,
Yeah, of
and
course.
it's cool.
Yeah, and that's like, you may talk to 10 young guys trying to get started, and probably one or two are going to do much of anything other than talk about their idea. So you get, it's cool to see the people that, they get it. They got that fire in them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, I know you're a busy guy. I know you got to go for a call, but I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, man, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
You too.
Cool.
Sweet, man.
That was great.